Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Today we're going to be starting a little bit of a series where I basically go over some of the watches that we've been able to find over the last couple of weeks, couple of months. So I have 4 watches that I'm going to be going over with you today. We're going to have individual videos on each of them, but I wanted to go over these to give you a little bit of a sneak peek to see what's coming up on the channel. We'll go over each of these individually. We'll give you some history about them more in depth, but this is going to hopefully be just a nice summary of some of the watches that we've got in. They vary in design, they vary in year of production, and they vary in when you can kind of wear these. So very excited to get into this. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, so 4 watches that we've got here really vary in complication, in design, in year of production, and I'm pretty excited to share these with you. Again, this is kind of going to be a preview, so we'll give you a little bit of an overview on each of them, and then we'll have subsequent videos on the channel where we go into each individual one by itself. I'll start off with the one over here. This watch right here is this is an Omega reference 2279. -4, so one of the later iterations of this reference, this chronograph manufactured by Omega. Obviously, watches or chronographs from Omega, you think of the Omega Speedmaster, but this was actually pre the Omega Speedmaster, but used a lot of similar elements, specifically the movement with this watch. It was manufactured in 1950, and as you can see, has this really nice stainless steel case. With quite pronounced lugs. The case is in pretty good condition. While I don't know about polishing, you can still see a lot of the really sharp edges on this piece, which is pretty exciting. What's really cool is on the back, there is actually an engraving that says O.B. Roberts, Logan Boone Mingo Area, B.S.A, 1942 to 1953. So what this likely points to is the fact that this watch was a gift to an individual who was involved in the Logan Boone Mingo Area Boy Scouts Council in West Virginia. And it's, you know, if you think about people who this would probably be given to, I don't think it was a Boy Scout. I think it was someone who helped this council a lot. So really cool sort of inscription on the back, and makes it pretty cool, pretty exciting to have the provenance of this watch. As I mentioned, manufactured in 1950, probably gifted in 1953, so sold in the US market and sold 3 years after production. It has the 321 caliber movement, which is obviously hailed as one of the best chronograph movements and most important chronograph movements of its time. So a really cool Omega to sort of kick us off. I'll stick with Omega and I'll go to this watch right here, which is an Omega reference 1660-117. The numbers of these references are always fun from this sort of era. This is a watch from 1972, and as you can see, the case is pretty unique. I think case condition, case originality is important to collectors in their own way. Either you have your own sort of aesthetic that you want, whether that's like new, or maybe you want to see some of the life that the watch had on the watch itself. As you can tell, the condition of this is fairly unique. It's a 35mm yellow gold-plated watch that's oxidized in a very unique way. You can see that on the sides of the case it's darkened quite a bit, but on the top you can see a really nice sort of gold hue on it. What you can probably see on this watch is a little bit of a logo at 6 o'clock there. Your first thought is probably that it has something to do with the Chicago Cubs, but in fact this was actually the Continental Can Co symbol, because when you turn the watch over, it also has an inscription which says, "For loyal service, Peanut, Hanus, 1974, Continental Can Co Inc." So it's likely a gift from this company to someone who worked at their at the company for their loyal service. It's got the caliber 1020 automatic movement, day-to-day complication, as you can see. This is like a perfect example of what I think of when I think of individuality when it comes to case condition. I love oxidized cases, and I'm sure that there are collectors who like that as well. Moving on, I'm going to look at a watch from YKOLOKUTAN, which is, in my opinion, one of the coolest stainless steel watches I've had in my hands from this brand. Let me get this in focus here for you. This is a YKOLOKUTAN time-only piece with gold-applied hour markers. It's 33 millimeters and is running on the K478-C manual wind movement. Stainless steel watches like this don't come around very often. Obviously, you know, during this era, precious metals was what was desired because they were obviously, you know, it was nice to have sort of a gold watch. But this is a stainless steel version of a watch, and I'm so excited to do a video on this watch because the condition of this is just absolutely insane. It feels like this watch is essentially untouched, with an extremely clean dial. It doesn't appear that there's been any cleaning of the watch, and so what you have is this really beautiful cream dial with applied hour markers, and just a phenomenal example of this piece. It was manufactured in 1961, and similar to the watches that I've spoken about, it has an inscription on the back which says 1961 D. Tracy over 40 years with C.S. Milner & Co. Limited, which obviously points to the fact that this was a gift to someone who worked for this company, and based on the research, it was located in South London in the United Kingdom. So we've got US gifts, we've got UK gifts, and I'm so excited to jump into this watch in a video. And then the last piece over here that I'll be going over is a really cool and, in my opinion, I think fairly rare watch. This is a Longines, and I'll give a close-up here, make sure I get the nice focus for you. It's a Longines reference 700 with this really cool rectangular case. So it was manufactured in 1954, and this watch basically has everything you would want in an interesting tank watch. Rectangular case, fancy lugs, and this domed crystal that you'll probably see in the video here. You can probably see this domed crystal that gives it such an excellent look. It's a 10-karat gold-filled case that was manufactured in 1954, and based on my research, is a fairly rare, seemingly rare example that's in really great condition. It doesn't show too many signs of polish, and has this really interesting sort of crossed pattern on the dial, where you have sort of this two-tone effect to it. Sub-seconds dial, and it houses the manual wind 9LT movement, caliber 9LT movement, which is sort of an upgraded version of the previous movement that Longines used, which was their 9L movement. And what's really cool about this movement is it's found in a lot of pieces manufactured by Longines in this similar case shape, and it's finished to the standards of some of the best manufacturers of the time, which is I think why Longines is often regarded as one of the best manufacturers, especially in vintage watches. I put it on the screen strap. I think it looks really nice on the wrist, and gives it a little bit of a different feel. So that's these 4 watches. As I mentioned, we're going to be going over each of them individually in a video, so stay tuned for that. I'm excited to go over those, but I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a preview, and of course, I think we're going to be doing this a little bit more with each of the pieces that we get in. With that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time.